bad joke. Dropped at the first sign of trouble. They're only as good as the world allows them to be. I'll show you. When the chips are down, these civilized people, they'll eat each other. See, I'm not a monster. I'm just ahead of the curve.
Welcome to Market Makers, your home for tomorrow's TA today. Often imitated, never replicated. This market, this economy is a bad joke, and it is both a wonderful time to be trading and a dangerous time to be trading. But guys, this is how you can stack some racks here in the market because we have big moves coming in. We've had big moves already. I shared with you the setups on NASDAQ above 18.6, on the S&P above 5,300, on Solana at 205 for a 45% drop. And this is all part of the topping process because the key structures are still in place. We have catalysts. This is a catalyst-driven market. This week is huge. We have the Fed this week. We have Amazon. We have Apple. We're going to cover all this material in today's video, go over the fib levels, go over the target levels, go over the fractals. So stay tuned. Be sure to like and subscribe to this channel. It is the only channel you will get this information. Without further ado, Lee, let's start the show. All right, guys, before we kick it off, this transmission, as always, is brought to you by our two sponsors, SimpleFX and BingX. If you want to trade these markets, check out our sponsor. It helps support the channel. All of our bonuses, tournaments are all included exclusively with our links. That information is in the video description. Message Lee in Telegram with any questions. Both will pay for your first month on our Discord, where you get all of our indicators for free, our TA, our Discord exclusive videos, and of course, our trade signals, our trade ideas from both my staff and myself and our community. Fantastic place to be. All the info in the video description. Let's look at the 10-year. Will Powell send the 10-year up higher? Look at this rise in the 10-year. Here's our cycle high at 5%. Or will Powell give the markets a breath and send it lower? We don't know if Powell will be dovish or hawkish. For what it's worth, Bloomberg and CNBC, the majority of the analysts think that he's going to be hawkish. Powell has a dovish bias and he's very political, one of the most political Fed heads we've ever had, hence the early pivot. Hence the late pivot when inflation was rising and hit 9%, it was transitory. And then the early pivot last quarter of last year, when inflation was under control, and now the last few months has done nothing but go up. So, he needs to save some face because he looks like a fool, but we'll see how he affects the 10-year come Wednesday at his presser. But look at the DXY. It's the same concept, guys. Here's our accumulation range. Failed breakout, a lot of resistance in this area, in the 107 area, 106 area. This is where we're struggling right now. Will Powell send the dollar up higher? We're at 105, spot 614. Or will he cause this to break down and find support, which would give the markets a breath and perhaps more upside? We're going to look at that right now in the charts. Let's kick it off with the Dow by request in the YouTube comments. So the Dow brought this back. Guys, the Dow played out the exact same way as the other equities, right? We had our lunar eclipse in October 2023. For the bottom, we had the parabolic rally up. Total solar eclipse in combination with the lunar eclipse for our crash cycle. We broke our trend line. You're below the 50. The key structure to watch here on the Dow is what? If you watch this channel, you know already, your W structure, which you're trying to hold. Why? Because this can give you more upside. If we take this W structure, use Fibonacci here, we can look at the 1618, 39,331, right? That would be your upside target marked with this fractal. And if you want confluence for that, we can go to the all-time high, pull it down to your corrective low. There's your 618, 39,252, 786, 39,738. Those would be my upside targets to be hit, and see if we hold them as resistance, form us a kill box to make a pattern in for more downside and continuation of this descent, okay? That's what we're looking at. Remember, these corrective structures we're looking at to make a bottom and then give us either our blow off top scenario or our lower high scenario. Go back 2 videos, covered these for my 2024 fractal market forecast. Okay. These are the key levels. Remember, the indices, specifically the Dow and the NASDAQ, took out all the gains for 2024 so far in this descent. Let's go ahead and move forward. If we look at the E-mini, here's our blow off top structure. We're looking for this corrective move to come in bottom by late June, early July. I have 4,700 as my most likely target here, but we have 48.21 and 45.85 as the other targets as well. Lunar eclipse, total solar eclipse. You only get this information, to my knowledge, on this channel. So definitely like and subscribe, guys. Send this stuff out to your friends. We also post on X. Give us a follow there as well. Once we make that bottom at those targets, we're looking for a blow off to come 58.35 or 6,082. Okay. And that blow off would be mid-November. When did the markets last top in mid-November? 2021. That's when the NASDAQ, the Russell, Bitcoin all topped in mid to late November. The S&P made a high and then made a slightly higher high January 4th. It idled along for a little bit longer, but this is the projection based on market symmetry, based on Fibonacci. Go back 2 videos. We build these charts out. Here's the lower high scenario. Same exact targets, 48.21, 4,700 or 45.85, bouncing back up to that mid-November target right after the election, 52.24 or perhaps 50.50. Okay, so these are the 2 targets I'm looking at again, based on market symmetry, based on Fibonacci, the lower high scenario. In that case, the people who say the blow off top is in, that would be that scenario. We look at this fractal pattern, how it's playing out right now. It's absolutely amazing to me looking at this. 35 bars, 50 days from wave 1 to wave 2. 36 bars, 50 days takes you out to May 21st is when we're looking for this wave 2 peak. Now, what's interesting looking at the fractal, we've already been over these percentage declines from your wave 1. Right? Your wave 1 here, 6.14%. We went slightly deeper on this decline in the current market. So 14 bars, 18 days, 6.94. So almost a 7% decline versus a 6.14% decline within a day or two of each other so far. And then the 4th bar up on the rebound was your pullback bar, just like in this original July high to October low corrective cycle. Okay. The 4th bar was the pull down. Now these next 2 bars are higher highs right now. Well, this bar is still open. And these next 2 bars made a low and then a slightly higher low. So they're inverted. What we could see happen tomorrow with Powell, since we've had this structure move up this fast, we could see Powell, again, if he's hawkish, right? Higher for longer, whatever he's going to say, you could see him cause this to come back down again, right? And then start moving back up over. But ultimately, we're looking at that May 20th for that wave 2 peak. How important is that date? The targets don't change. Where we're looking to trade this doesn't change. This is just based on market symmetry, how long I think it'll take to get up to these targets, but the targets remain the same. When we look at the targets on the S&P, the E-mini, we're looking at 51.92, the 618, 3-wave move, aka a double top. You're stuck right now at 51.48. You're below the 50, and then the higher level target at the 786, 52.54. So whether Powell rolls the market down and we come back down and then have to come back up again, making this larger W structure, this will take more time. Or Powell is dovish, says something stupid, sends us up to these levels. I want to see one of these resistance levels hold. 51.92, 52.54, looking at this 3-wave top because I believe there's further declines ahead, and those declines based on the previous retracement cycle will happen when you take out 49.63. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the indicators real quick. MFI is still in bearish territory. Lower MFI here. Price is rising. So you have some bearish divergence here on the MFI forming. Just slight divergence isn't a big deal until it plays out. Volume momentum is bearish and negative as well. Here's the NQ, guys, the higher high scenario. A couple of key things, key takeaways. 100% move from the lows in the cycle would take you up to 20,990. Played out the exact same way. Lunar eclipse for your October 2023 bottom. Lunar eclipse, total solar eclipse, kicking off the retracement cycle, right? kicking it off in our two lower targets here, 16,786, 15,885. We have both these coming in June 25th. So late June, early July. Remember, when you're looking for turns in the market based on patterns, based on sequencing, based on timing, based on symmetry, you're looking for the turn. Can it happen on the exact day? Sure. Does it have to? No. It happens within a few days, just like a harmonic cycle of 144 days took longer to play out by a few days, but the trades, the targets were the same, and you caught these massive moves down in the markets, right? So, key thing to understand, lower high scenario, if the blow off top is in, targets remain the same, 16,786, 15,885. Two targets, late June, early July for the bottom. And of course, the tops, whether it's a blow off top or a lower high, then we're looking to that mid-November timeframe. 18,104 is the key target here. The slightly higher high would be 19,510. Let's go ahead and look at the retracement cycle. Again, on the NASDAQ, slightly different, 41 bars, 58 days. You can see this here from your first peak here down to your wave 2 peak. So we're looking at that 41 bars, 60 days. So this would have you're stuck at the 0.5 fib right now, just like the S&P is. Let me take this off. We're going to zoom into this on the daily. The fourth bar was also your pullback bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. Did the same thing here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fourth bar is your pullback bar. Next two bars are slightly higher. So again, Powell can send this back down, increase the duration of time it takes to move up. So we're going to see, guys. But right now, love the way these are tracking. The declines are very symmetrical. The candle counts are very symmetrical, right? We're talking about Fibonacci sequencing and market symmetry. Looking at these declines, here you go from peak to trough so far of the corrective cycle, 9% versus 8.5%, 22 bars, 30 days, 20 bars, 29 days, a day apart in this decline. Again, not exact, extremely close. This just provides confluence for potential trade setups. Looking here on the NQ, the NASDAQ, the E-mini, we're at the 0.5 fib, 17,911. Again, looking at the three-wave pattern to form, your 50 is laying right on top of the 618 at 18,099. Key targets to watch is going to be this range, 18,099, 18,250, and 18,367. Could we get there with a dovish pal? Sure. It's not that far away, guys. It's a few hundred points. We can get there with a dovish pal, but we can also have pal send us back down, and we end up making this pattern a larger W to take longer to come up to one of these targets and form our kill box where we will make some type of pattern like a double top or whatever to trade and short to the downside. So these are the levels I'm looking at here on NQ. MFI, bearish, look at your price. Price is rising. MFI is making lower highs. So again, divergence. I think this is going to roll over or will want to roll over with a hawkish Powell. Volume momentum, still bearish. And let's go ahead and move forward. Looking at Bitcoin, guys, covered this as well. Again, 2 videos ago, go watch that video. This is the George Lindsley pattern, 3 peaks and a domed house. This is the upside potential for Bitcoin. Peak 1, peak 2, peak 3, and of course, the final domed house takes you out to 110K Bitcoin. 110K Bitcoin. This will be a huge trade, very similar to the TA I shared with you and the trade setup I shared with you October 2023 for a 130% gain from Bitcoin on this channel, guys. What we're looking for, we're going to zoom into this range because we're looking for this retracement down to my 52 level right here, this higher level, or that 45K level in this cluster of candles, right? So we want to zoom into this area and look at the patterns that we're making, but just be aware, guys, this is a key pattern. This pattern can play out, and we have all the ingredients for it if the equities markets move after the retracement to make blow off tops. If they do not, I do not think this pattern's coming into play, and you will see Bitcoin come up and make a lower high type pattern, whether it's 5 waves or 3 waves, a lower high if the equities do not come up for blow off tops after these key retracement levels. Let's go ahead and move forward. Let's look at Bitcoin on a daily. Been over these fractal corridors. This is my neutral territory for Bitcoin to trend in. Okay, that's neutral. This is bearish where Bitcoin is now, and this is a bullish bias where Bitcoin is. So when we look at this, you have to look at your key structures, right? We had our W pattern play out beautifully. This came right up to the 886 fib and dropped price, right? So this came up to the 886, dropped price all the way down to 59K. And now we have another W pattern forming here as well. You have this W pattern. The whole market is M's and W's, 5-wave patterns that you want to look at to trade, because if this low can hold, which we do not know, this is a daily chart, but if this low can hold, you're looking at Bitcoin here on a projection of 70,600 up to 72,701. What does that do? That takes you right back into these highs, into these fractal highs in the range. How could that happen? Well, it can happen a couple different things, different ways. It could happen because Bitcoin crypto is a different animal than the equity markets, and it's going to do its own thing. Or we could get a dovish pal. We could have good earnings from the remaining Mag 7, start pumping the markets up. Crypto reacts, crypto pumps up, altcoins pump up. So these are the targets you want to watch: 70,608 and 72,701. Again, you would be completing this W pattern to the upside. If these resistance levels hold, then these would be awesome areas to trade in, because these have been key resistance areas for Bitcoin. Now, if Powell is hawkish and he sends the markets down, and for whatever reason you get a reactionary rally to the upside in crypto, that is definitely a move I want to look at, seeing where it lands on resistance to trade short, right? Because if the markets are descending and Bitcoin's rising, then that's an area you definitely want to look at. So this is a key level to hold, guys. We want to see if this W structure holds up. Let's go ahead and look at this W structure. And let's pull this fib from this 59 low up to your midpoint of your W. You fell to the 618, 62,474. You actually fell beneath it. You want to try to hold above here, definitely above 60,000, right? You want to be above 60,000 to keep this W structure intact here. You have your 50 curling over, rolling. Look, overall, guys, I believe Bitcoin's going to move with the markets. If the markets are going to complete this retracement, which I do believe they will, whether they get to the targets right away or it takes longer, they get to these wave 2 targets here at that May 20th time frame, you're going to see Bitcoin ultimately capitulate with the markets, because that's how it trades, as a very close correlation with the NASDAQ, and moves at a 2 to 3x beta of the NASDAQ. So watch this level, watch these support levels, and let's see if Bitcoin can hold this W and get back into this trading structure. And let's look at the MFI. You're just ping-ponging off the median line, or you're slightly above. Same with your volume momentum, ping-ponging along the median line, and you can see it in the price action, guys. So can this accumulate and move up? That's what we want to see on Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and look at Solana. If we look at Solana here on the daily chart, let me put this on the 3-day so we get a zoomed out view here. There we go. 3-day chart of Solana. We've had these 2 great trades in Solana, 21% winner, 45% winner, and we fell down to 113. And again, just like Bitcoin, guys, I'm looking for this to rebound back up and come up to the 173, 189 level. The higher, the better, back in these top areas of this candle. That 189 level would be beautiful. If we look at Solana on the daily chart, put this back on a daily, you can see your W structure. Let me get rid of this ABC. You can see your W structure just like Bitcoin, right? Here's your drop, here's your pump up, here's your hold. You need to hold this area, come back up. That's what you want to see for these targets, the 173, 189 level. If Solana starts breaking down, you want to make sure it holds above that 113 level, right? If it starts breaking down from here and takes out 113, you have further downside coming, 100, and then beneath that, $84. So let's go ahead and move forward. Let's look at Ethereum. Ethereum right now is trading at, where are we at? 31.56. We look at Ethereum, guys. You have a couple different things in play here. You have your fib here. From your high to your low, you had all this resistance at the 618, almost got to the 786 here before you broke down from this W pattern, right? So you have this W pattern that was in play right here. You broke down, you changed levels. Now you have all this resistance above you. Right now you're finding resistance at the 382, 32.92. You can see this as a version of waves too. You have wave one to the downside, wave two to the downside. If this accumulation structure starts breaking down, you're going to get wave three to the downside, landing you in this fractal corridor here between 2718 and 2450. Okay. That's your next level down if you get three waves to a bottom pattern playing out. If you can flip this and move up, then you need to watch 34,450, 3,600 to the upside here on Ethereum. If we go ahead and move forward, let's look at Tesla, a harmonic favorite on this channel. You had some news, again, catalyst-driven market. They're going to be doing something with Baidu for data collection, some agreement with China. Elon flew over there. I heard on the news this morning. You got a gap up here in Tesla. You need to flip 205 to really have any excitement about upside because you've had this play out in so many different patterns. You had a beautiful harmonic W pattern here. You had another W pattern here. You have three waves to a bottom pattern playing out. So Tesla is rebounding off of a low, a significant low. When you pull your fib here from this 101 low, that fractal low up to your high here, you bounced right off the 786 at 144. You're at 196, 205. You need to break that to come back to the upside. All of this structure is resistance to the upside. Not only the structure above you, which you have these fractal lows here, you have this structure to the left, this structure to the left, and you have the structure immediately above you. So lots of resistance for Tesla, some euphoria back in the stock in the marketplace, but watch that 205. Tesla will move with the markets ultimately. And again, big catalyst will be Powell. Apple, same type of pattern, guys. You have a three-wave pattern, double top pattern. Apple traded right down to its neckline at 165, got a down thrust, and now you got an upshot right to the upside. You got a gap. Apple's at 174. You got to flip 178, basically 180. But to do that, you got to get through these fractal structures here, which are all going to be resistance just above you to try to trend back up to the upside. And Apple's earnings are this week. We'll find out if Tim Cook's business model of having 9-year-old children build your phones for $1 an hour, if that's a good business model or not. We'll see. We'll see how that plays out. But Apple's sales have been crushed in China. So, lots of bearishness in the stock. The reason it's worth watching, whether you care about Apple or not, is because this is still a top 3 stock by market cap. So it's an important stock to watch. Where Apple goes can help determine where the NASDAQ and the S&P goes, which can help determine what happens with crypto. So watch these levels, trading at 174 right now. And of course, let's look at the DAX. DAX came up, three-wave pattern, only got to the 618. Really want to see the DAX get up to 18,572. It's 18,293 right now. You have two double tops here, two three-wave patterns forming, the larger one that I outlined, but on the daily, you have this smaller one as well, right? So again, if Powell sends the markets down, the European markets will most likely respond. So if the DAX starts coming down with Powell on Wednesday, look at 17,983, because if you take this fractal out, there's your 50. If you take that out, you're coming down to test your neckline of this larger ABC structure, which is 17,604, okay? And again, you have the makings of a W pattern on all these markets, but you can still come down and hold this, what could turn into a bullish structure for more upside to get to that 786 or above and get that nice level with the U.S. markets for a key short trade as the U.S. markets come up for their wave 2 and the retracement cycles, okay? Let's go ahead and look at the Euro Stocks 50 because I posted a trade on this in the Discord on Friday and happy to say it hit beautifully. I identified 5,000 to 5,011 as a good optimal entry point. We fell $50, $56 today. So nice day trade so far. Could turn into a structural swing trade because just like the DAX, two double tops, right? Here's your smaller double top that you have going right now. Powell sends the markets down. Look for this to continue to come down. If you take out 48.62, then you're coming down to test your neckline here. And of course, the larger double top structure as well, our three-wave pattern. I'll just pull it from here just so you can see it outlined. The larger double top structure as well. Okay, so we have the two patterns going right now, zero risk risk-free day trade because I can move my stop loss to break even, which I did before I started recording this in case of some type of rebound. So we'll see if this continues to play out and break down to the downside. Currently, 49.55 MFI swinging back up towards the median line. Volume momentum is down left to right still. So we'll see how this trade plays out. Paris market faring a little bit worse, guys. Struggling at the 50, didn't even get to the 618. Trying to hold the structure, but again, if we can hold these W type structures, this is how you can get that nice. I really like the numerology of the 786 here, 8181 spot 5. I would I would love to see this get up there for a trade. I just like the way that rhymes off the tongue here. So I'd love to see this get up there for a trade. But of course, we'll move with the US markets and the other European markets. Watch 78.43. You're at 80.25. You're below the 50. If this starts rolling over here, you're going to be testing your neckline at 78.43 and then coming down at least to the 77.20 level here for a potential bounce. Okay, so you want to watch this because you have your larger three-wave double top, just like all of these assets. Guys, let's spend a minute on gold. I did an in-depth deep dive on gold and silver for a Discord exclusive video. I did that, but I want to show this with you guys because some of you guys in the comments are asking about gold. So let's look at the 3-day chart. I'm on the Gold Mini CFD chart here from Forex.com, guys. But we look at the 3-day chart. This comes back, this accumulation structure goes all the way out to August 2020, okay, up to the current time frame. Couple of things. Let's look at where price can go because I know the gold bugs have gold going to 10,000. I own a lot of precious metals, physical. Gold bugs have it going to 10,000. Bitcoin people have Bitcoin going to 1 million. I get all that. But let's look at some realistic targets and what has been hit and what could still be hit here. If we look at gold from this Wyckoff fractal from your high to your low, you got to the 1618, 2362. We actually got to the 1732 at 2415, just above at 2431 here. So you got just above this, but now you're below the 1618 at 2343. Why is this significant? Couple of things I want to show you. Well, first of all, gold moves. You have to understand what gold moves with. Gold is a safe haven asset viewed as by many. It's viewed as money by many people. But ultimately, what has it been moving with this cycle? Now, for some of you, you already know this. For others of you, this may shock you. So take your seat. But let's look at the S&P, okay? S&P is in gold. Here's your pandemic lows. They both rose up. S&P consolidated, shot up to its parabolic top. Gold started going sideways, came up for its top in the range, right up here, wherever that was. That price level here on gold was what, 2,000? It was struggling at this 2,000 level for a long time. But you had gold. Notice the declines here, okay? So here's the S&P. Here's your decline in 2022. What did gold do in 2022? It declined with it. Here's the rise in the S&P. What did gold do? It rose with it, right? Here's your could be potential blow off top in the S&P. What did gold do? It rose with it. I'm bringing this to your attention because in the GFC, when the markets collapsed, gold fell 34%, silver fell 61%. Commodity super cycles, granted, precious metals are slightly different, obviously, than your grains and your other metals. Precious metals are slightly different, but commodity super cycles start at bottoms, okay? So what you're looking at with gold here, keep in mind of what it can do because of how it's tracking with such a close correlation to the S&P. Now let's look at the actual chart and look at what gold can do here because you have this breakout. You have your higher low structure here in gold. You have your down thrust, your lows. You held these higher lows here. You have your higher low. You broke out. You hit key Fibonacci resistance. There's two levels gold can retrace to here, especially if we start seeing the markets roll down. I think you're going to see gold roll down as well. The two levels I'm really tracking here is the 618, 2155, this candle cluster here, which means what, guys? You have a double top forming here on the 3-day chart. You can see it better on the daily, but you have a three-wave pattern right now forming right here. So you can get this type of move in gold, come back down to 2155. And this doesn't mean it's collapsing, especially if the equities are basing at this juncture, right? When they come down to the retracement levels, this is all going to take time, but when they come down to the retracement levels that we have identified in our fractal patterns, if gold can hold the 2155 or the 2080, which is your Wyckoff ceiling, a multi 4-year ceiling at this juncture, if you can hold those levels, you can get your pivot back to the upside for more upside, which will occur, in my opinion, if the markets complete the retracement and move to the blow off tops. You'll have the 110K Bitcoin, you'll have the higher level projections in gold, and you will have the equities at all-time high blow off tops. Everybody can be happy, but be aware, I think this move is going to happen. I think gold's going to retrace. I think you need to watch 2155. I think you need to watch 2080, because that's what gold's going to do when the markets start waving down some more. And we have some time. Our next wave 2 peak I identified May 20th. We'll see if it happens sooner for those targets, but watch gold because it's already putting in this 3-wave double top. It's struggling. If we just pull this here from this 3-day top down to the low, 618 is 2378, 7086 is 2400. You want more upside? Take out 2431. Either way, you get this retracement, you'll get a bottom, and you'll be able to trade at the bottom. Whether or not you make a lower high or a blow off top, there's still gains to the downside and still gains to the upside. It's only trading, guys. No reason to get emotional or angry. I'll see you all in the next transmission. Hope to see you on the Discord. Leave me a comment, leave me a like, and follow us on X. Talk to everybody soon.